It is 11:26 p.m., and I am sitting at the west desk with one cold coffee, 2 radios, and a wall of green track blocks in front of me. The dispatch center is not quiet, not ever. But it has a kind of order at night. Fans in the ceiling panels, keyboards, low voices from the freight desk, printer paper moving in short bursts. The red phone for police coordination hanging on its cradle where nobody wants it to ring. I have the river line from Central Terminal to Pike Ridge, 47 miles of passenger track, freight connections, 2 tunnels, 4 yards, and enough old industrial spurs to hide mistakes for months. The last passenger train of the night is train 417. 6 cars, 1 diesel locomotive on the east end, cab car on the west end, running westbound away from Central Terminal. It left 8 minutes late because the station police had to clear a disturbance near track 4. The conductor said a man shoved through the crowd, left bloody handprints on the glass, and would not answer when officers shouted at him. That was the word he used, bloody. He said it once, then stopped because conductors do not put extra drama on the radio unless something is already wrong. I line 417 through North Canal, past the old brick warehouses, over the canal bridge, then toward Halden Avenue interlocking. The signal system shows clear. The train crew sounds irritated and tired. The engineer is Dana Reese. I know her voice from years of nights. She does not waste words. The conductor is Omar Vidal, newer, careful with procedures, a little too formal when passengers start getting loud. He calls me at 11:28 p.m. and asks whether we have police at Westlake, because passengers are showing him phone videos from downtown. I ask what kind of videos. He says people in the street, people running, a bus stopped across an intersection, some hospital alert, maybe a chemical exposure. He says everybody is calling it something different. He has a nurse in car too, telling people to cover cuts. He has a drunk man in car. 5 yelling that the city is burning. He says the train is full enough that nobody has an empty row. I tell him I have no confirmed order to hold passengers and no police hold on Westlake. I keep my voice clean, that matters. Debauchers can spread panic by sounding annoyed. We get trained on that without anyone saying the word panic. You learn it during storms, bridge strikes, signal outages, trespasser incidents, suicides, wild rumors, bomb threats, and nights when every person wants a decision that belongs to someone else. Omar copies. Donna asks for a route beyond Halden. I give her permissive clear to Ridge Yard limits after Halden, pending 1 freight ahead. I am about to tell her the freight is moving when a block drops red between Canal Bridge and the east portal of North Canal Tunnel. It should not drop red. Nothing is in that block except 417, and 417 is still behind it. I look at the train graph, then at the signal indications. Trank circuit failure, maybe water, maybe a broken bond wire, maybe somebody shorting the rail with metal. Rain has been falling since dinner, thin and steady, enough to make the old crossings troublesome. I call signal maintenance on the sideline and leave a clipped note in the incident log. Then Train 82, a local freight holding at Riverbend, calls the freight dispatcher 2 desks over. I hear the engineer through the open speaker before my coworker even turns his chair. Dietoscher, we have people on the right-of-way, multiple west of Riverbend between the rails. We are stopped. The freight dispatcher, Marcy Lyle, asks him to repeat. He says there are 8 or 10 people standing on track 2, maybe more in the ditch, not protesters, not workers, no vests. No flashlights. One of them walked into the side of his lead unit while he was stopping. He says the person hit the steps and went down, then got back up. Marcy looks over at me. I look at my line. Riverbend connects to my territory through Ridge Yard. The freight is 3 miles from where 417 will pass in about 20 minutes if I keep it moving. The chief dispatcher, Kim Novak, leaves her glass office and comes to the floor. She has a paper cup in one hand and a phone pressed to one ear. She is listening to the city emergency management line. She is not talking. That tells me more than a long explanation would. At 11:32 p.m., the first trespasser report comes directly onto my radio. Dietoscher, Train 417. Dana's voice is flat, but the pause after my desk name is wrong. 417, go ahead. We are approaching Canal Bridge. I have movement on both shoulders. People outside the fence. Some are climbing over. I pull up the closed circuit camera at Canal Bridge. It takes a second. The camera has rain blur and sodium light from the maintenance walkway. I see the rail bridge, silver wet rail, dark crosties, chain fence on both sides. I see one person hanging on the fence, one leg over, one shoe gone. I see another person down on hands and knees near the ballast. I see a third person already inside the right-of-way, standing too close to track 1. 417, reduce speed. Do not sound the horn unless required for immediate obstruction. Dana repeats the instruction. Omar comes on and asks why no horn. I do not have a good answer yet, I say. Reports of crowd movement. Avoid drawing more people toward the track. That is a guess. It is also the first decision of the night that I understand only after it is too late. 417 slows. On my screen, its occupied block advances across Canal Bridge. The signal ahead holds green because the next block is clear. The camera at the west end of the bridge goes black for 2 seconds, comes back, then shakes from the passing train. When the train enters the bridge, every person on the walkway turns toward it at once, not toward the headlight, toward the rail. The one by the fence drops down and starts walking beside the train with his shoulder brushing the posts. Another one steps onto the near rail and stumbles when the vibration reaches him. He steadies himself with both hands on the ballast, then keeps moving west. Donna says, "They are following us." I hear no panic in her voice. That makes it worse. Donna has seen children on tracks, cars stuck at crossings, people drunk enough to curse at a locomotive. She has had close calls that sent her home for 2 days. She knows when something is ordinary and ugly. This is not that. I ask if she made contact. Negative. No impact. I am at restricted speed through the bridge. They are on both sides. One is touching car 3. Omar, keep the doors closed. Omar answers from inside the train, not from the cab. There is crowd noise behind him, muffled by the radio. Doors are locked. Passengers are up. Someone pulled the emergency handle in car 5. I reset it. Kim points at me through the glass and mouths. Keep it moving. I nod once. I do not stop. 417 on Canal Bridge. A stopped passenger train on a bridge gives people nowhere to go, no way for police to approach cleanly, and no platform for evacuation. That was normal railroad logic at 11:33 p.m. At 11:34 p.m., it turns into survival logic. I line Holden Avenue for the main. I block the crossover from local freight moves. I call Ridge Yard and tell Yardmaster Carla Benitez to keep anything outbound in place. She snaps back that she already has crews calling about people near the West Ladder. Then her tone changes. She says one of her car inspectors is trapped on a platform between 2 autoracks because people came through the fence at the old foundry gate. People, that is still the word. The city public safety feed on Kim's phone gets louder. I catch pieces. Multiple assaults, hospitals diverting, police staging. Avoid downtown, unknown contaminant. Bites do not engage. A dispatcher from the bus system calls our chief desk and asks if we can hold trains at stations for shelter. Kim tells him she cannot make that call. He says people are getting onto the busways from the streets. She tells him again she cannot make that call. At 11:37 p.m., North Canal Tunnel track camera shows movement in the east portal. Not one person, a line of them, 10, maybe 12. They are walking inside the tunnel on the maintenance path and between the rails. The camera has infrared, so the picture is grainy, but the movement is clear. No flashlights, no reflective clothing. One person walks with both arms hanging low. Another drags one foot and keeps bumping the tunnel wall. One stops, lowers his face near the rail, and then turns west. I call Dana. 417, you have multiple trespassers reported inside North Canal Tunnel behind you. Continue west. Maintain reduced speed. Confirm all doors closed. Dana copies. Omar does not answer at first. Then he says, all doors closed except car 5 keeps alarming. I have a passenger fighting the handle. I have 2 off-duty security officers helping. No police on board. Do not open doors between stations. I know that. He says it too fast. Then he corrects himself. Copy, doors remain closed. 417 clears Canal Bridge and enters the short open cut before Halden. The blocks ahead stay green. I can route it to Westlake Station in 8 minutes. Westlake has a center platform, stair towers at both ends, a small police booth, and exits to 2 streets. Under normal emergency planning, it is a good place to empty a train. Tonight, the city camera at Westlake shows people already on the platform. Some stand near the yellow line. Some press at the closed ticket hall doors. Several are sitting on the stairs. One person is face down near the vending machines, and nobody is helping him. I call station operations, no answer. I call Westlake Police booth, bussy tone. I call Central Rail Police. A lieutenant answers and says he has units tied at Central Terminal, Halden Avenue, and the hospital spur. He says if I can hold the train outside Westlake, hold it. I tell him holding outside Westlake means a train full of passengers stopped in an open cut with trespassers behind it and more ahead. He goes quiet. I hear shouting on his end. He says, "Can you keep it moving to Pike Ridge?" I look west. Pike Ridge is 28 miles away. The line passes Ridge Yard, the Bloom Street Underpass, the Marrow Industrial Branch, Denton Tunnel, then the outer suburbs. If the infected are drawn by rail vibration, running all the way to Pike Ridge could drag the problem across half the county. At that moment, I do not have proof. I have reports, cameras, and a sick thought forming from pieces that do not fit any rulebook. I do not know, I say. The lieutenant says, nobody knows. Do what keeps the most people alive right now. That is the kind of sentence people say when no one will sign an order. I keep 417 moving. I set Westlake to pass through. No station stop. Then I call Omar and tell him the train will not stop at Westlake due to platform obstruction. The radio erupts with voices behind him. A woman yells that her son is at Westlake. A man demands to speak to police. Someone pounds on a panel near Omar's radio. Omar says, "You heard that. I heard. I need something to tell them. Tell passengers the station is closed for safety. Tell them doors remain closed until a controlled stop." Where is the controlled stop? I do not answer for half a second. That half second stays with me. Stand by, I say. 417 rolls through Halden. The signal model shows the train in the next block. The camera at Halden Avenue crossing shows 3 people standing at the lowered gates. One presses both hands to the side of car 2 when it passes. He does not recoil. He turns and follows the train along the ballast. Another person crawls under the gate after the last car and steps onto the track, then keeps walking west between the rails. Marcy, at the freight desk, says, "Jack." I turn. Train 82's engineer is on speaker again. His voice is no longer steady. "They are under the cars. I have them under the cars. We stopped and now they are all around the train. They keep hitting the steps. I cannot back up. I cannot pull forward without running over people." Marcy tells him to stay in the cab and keep the doors locked. He says his conductor is not in the cab. His conductor got down to line a hand throw on the siding before the first report came in. Now the conductor is in a switch-stand enclosure, 6 cars back, with a lantern and a radio that keeps cutting out. I look at 417's projected movement again. Ridge Yard is a knot of noise, steel, locomotives, and crews. If infected gather at idling equipment, the yard will be bad. Westlake platform is not usable. Central Terminal is behind the train and worse. The industrial branch at Marrow is ahead of Ridge, accessible from the main through a powered switch at milepost 16.2. It has a long warehouse track, a fenced loading dock, a paved service road, and an old commuter overflow lot used during construction. It also has no public platform, no staff, poor lighting, and one-way in by rail unless I line it right. I open the branch map. The Marrow Industrial Branch is mostly freight now. The first siding, Hasker Foods, has a raised loading dock. The second, Benton Paper, has a chain gate and a warehouse wall. The branch dead ends at a scrap dealer. Track speed is low. A passenger train can fit on the lead if we clear 2 stored boxcars. Those boxcars are not supposed to be there, but I saw the yard note yesterday. Carla knows the branch. I call Ridge Yard. Carla answers with, "Make it quick. I need Marrow Industrial checked. Hasker Foods track. Can a 6-car passenger train clear the switch? You are not bringing passengers into my industrial branch. Westlake is blocked. Ridge Yard is drawing trespassers. Central is blocked. I need somewhere with pavement and fewer people." She curses once, low enough that the recorder may not catch it. Hasker has a dock. Gate is locked. Security guard on site sometimes. 2 empties on Benton, not Hasker. The lead is clear unless the scrap dealer shoved cars out without telling us. Can you get eyes? My trackmobile crew is gone. I have 1 yard clerk in the tower and 2 switch crews trapped in engines. Nobody is walking down there. Camera? Old one at the Hasker gate maybe works. I ask her to pull it. She grumbles, but she does it. A minute later she says the gate camera is up. It shows rain, a fence, a paved lot, 2 parked trailers, and no crowd. That is the best thing I have heard all night. I tell Kim I want to divert 417 onto Marrow Industrial. Stop beside Hasker Foods. Keep doors closed until Omar can open only the side facing the dock. Then move passengers into the fenced lot or warehouse if security can unlock. Kim stares at the board. She asks how many passengers. I say, Omar reported standing room in 2 cars, probably 300. She asks how many buses are available. I call county emergency transport. The dispatcher there laughs once without humor and says buses are stuck. Drivers are refusing downtown assignments, and police are asking for transport at 3 hospitals. He can maybe send 2 school buses from the north garage in 40 minutes if the route stays clear. 40 minutes. A passenger train can go from controlled stop to uncontrolled crowd in less than 5, Kim says. Keep them on the train until buses are confirmed, I say. If we keep them moving, we may pull infected to Ridge and beyond. She looks at me, and I can tell she wants to reject that because it sounds insane. Instead, she says, say that again. I point at the cameras. Canal Bridge, Halden Crossing. Tunnel East Portal. The people are not wandering randomly anymore. The ones who encountered 417 are moving west. The ones behind it are entering the same track. Train 82 stopped at Riverbend, and now people are gathered around it. Yard crews are reporting people around idling units. This is not proof in a scientific sense. It is enough for operations. They follow vibration, I say. Rail noise, braking. Engines, maybe horns make it worse. If we run 417 all the way west, we guide them. Kim does not argue. She says, then guide them somewhere we can manage. That is the second decision. At 11:45 p.m., I issue form protection on the Marrow branch. Block all movement, line the switch from the main to the industrial lead, and set the signal for 417 to take the diverging route at restricted speed. I call Dana and give the route. She repeats it back without questioning the choice. Donna trusts dispatch until dispatch proves unworthy. That trust weighs more than it should. Omar comes on from the passenger section. I need you to understand the cars are getting worse. Passengers see people outside. Car 5 emergency handle has been pulled 3 times. 2 passengers got into it with the off-duty security guys. There is a man in car 3 with blood on his sleeve. He says it is from helping somebody at Central. Visible bite? He will not let the nurse look. He is sitting with his arm under his coat. I close my eyes for 1 second. I do not imagine anything. I cannot. A dispatcher who starts imagining stops dispatching. Isolate him if you can without starting a fight. With what space? Omar says. Then he catches himself. I can move people out of the vestibule near the restroom. Maybe do not use the word infection unless medical personnel on board already used it. The nurse is using it. Then follow her lead. Keep it calm. No one gets off before controlled stop. A passenger grabs Omar's radio button. The transmission turns into noise. I hear, "My daughter is sick, open the doors." Then Omar shouting away from the mic. Then the line cuts. Donna calls from the cab. Derster, car 5 alarm again. Brake pipe holding. Omar is dealing with it. I have people on both sides of the right-of-way near Bloom Street. They are not clearing. I am at 15 miles per hour. Can you safely continue? Right now, yes. If I stop, no. There is the whole night in 1 sentence. I give her the route to Marrow. I tell her no station stops, no horn except immediate impact risk. Keep bell off if rules allow, smooth braking, no hard stop unless unavoidable. She copies. She does not ask why. She has already seen enough. The dispatch center changes shape around me without moving. People stand instead of sit. Nobody eats. Phones stay off the hook. The assistant superintendent arrives with wet hair and a jacket over a t-shirt. He asks for a situation report and gets 3 different versions at once. Kim cuts everyone off and tells him 417 is being diverted to Marrow. He starts to object because Marrow is not a passenger evacuation point. Kim tells him Westlake is unusable, Ridge Yard is compromised, and Central is not an option. He asks who authorized the diversion. She says she did. I know she did it to protect me, even though my initials are on the route log. At 11:52 p.m., Ridge Yard Camera 3 shows why we cannot use the yard. A yard engine sits on track 7 with its headlight dimmed. People gather around it from both sides. Some walk between cars. Some strike the metal with hands and shoulders, not hard enough to break anything, but enough to make the car bodies rock. A crew member in the cab keeps the door shut. The yardmaster says he has stopped all switching. A switchman named Eric is still in the West Shanty with a bad ankle. He refuses to leave because the open area between the shanty and tower is full of people moving toward any engine that starts. Carla says, "We shut down, they drift away. We start one unit, they come back." That is the first field confirmation from someone not on 417. It is not a theory anymore. I ask whether she has any empty equipment near the east ladder that can be moved without crew exposure. She says, "Remote switcher on 9, operator in the tower, but if I move it, I am making noise. Use it to draw them off the main." There is a long pause. Carla says, "You want bait? I want 417 past Ridge Throat without a crowd on the switch. That switcher costs more than my house. People cost more." She says nothing. Then she tells her tower operator to wake the remote set and take it toward the scrap lead. Slow, no horn, no bell unless required. She leaves the channel open by mistake or maybe on purpose. I hear the yard tower room. A printer, a man swearing under his breath, Carla giving clipped instructions. The switcher creeps into view on the yard camera. A small yellow unit moving without a person visible in the cab because the operator is in the tower. Its lights cut across wet rail. The infected closest to track 7 turn. Not all at once. Not smart. They respond when vibration reaches through the yard ladder. One leaves the yard engine. Then 2 more, then a group of them. They follow the moving switcher down the scrap lead. The operator stops it near the old sand tower, behind a chain fence and concrete barriers. He shuts it down for half a minute. Nothing happens. Then the infected reach the fence and press against it. Hands through the wire, faces turned toward dead metal. A few continue down the rail past it, following whatever vibration remains. The main throat clears enough to use. Carla comes back to me. "You owe me a switcher. I owe you more than that. Get your passenger train out of my throat." 417 reaches the east edge of Ridge at 11:58 p.m. Donna reports people near the yard fence but fewer at the main. The route is lined for Marrow. Signal shows approach medium, then restricting for the branch. I watch the train's icon crawl across the screen. The computer display is clean and stupid. It shows occupancy, route, signal, speed estimate. It does not show passengers standing on seats to see out windows. It does not show the nurse in car 3 trying to see a man's arm. It does not show Omar putting himself between a crowd and a door, because a dispatcher told him not to open it. At midnight, the city emergency alert hits every phone in the room at once. The sound is harsh and simultaneous. People flinch. I look at mine because I have to know what passengers are seeing. The message says, "Shelter indoors. Avoid hospitals unless life-threatening emergency. Avoid persons showing violent confusion, uncontrolled biting, or blood exposure. Do not approach. Await official instructions." The word zombie is not there. The word infection is there twice. "That is enough." Omar calls again. His voice is close to the mic. He must be in a vestibule. "Deister, the man in car 3 bit the nurse. Nobody at my desk moves. I hear the printer. I hear Dana calling for an update from the cab and getting no answer because Omar has the radio. I ask, "Is the nurse conscious?" "Yes. It broke skin, not bad. She is yelling for tape or anything to wrap it." Passengers saw. The man is locked in the restroom. 2 passengers are holding the door shut. Did he have a visible bite before? I do not know. His sleeve was wet. He would not let anybody touch him. He was talking 10 minutes ago. Now he is not talking. He keeps hitting the door. This is how the official understanding of transmission reaches my desk. Not through a doctor, not through a lab. Through a conductor on a moving train, reporting a restroom door being held shut by passengers. I tell Omar to keep the nurse away from others if she agrees, and if it does not cause a fight. He says she already moved herself into the cab vestibule of car 2, with 1 other passenger helping her. I hear her in the background say she needs clean water. Then someone says there is no clean water, only restroom sink water and half a bottle from a backpack. I ask Omar if any other passengers were bitten. Not that I know. There was pushing, maybe scratches. Nobody is admitting anything now. I tell him the train is diverting to an industrial loading area. He asks if police will be there. I look at Kim. She shakes her head. Not confirmed, I say. Omar says, "Do not say that to them." I will not. Dana brings 417 through Ridge Throat at low speed. The track indication flickers once on the diverging route, then holds. A switch heater alarm appears for a winter circuit even though it is not winter, just rain. Old systems complain when the world around them changes. I ignore it because the point detection stays locked. 417 enters Marrow Industrial Branch. The branch is dark in long sections. The crossings are private, the rail is lower speed, with weeds along the ballast and old warehouses set back from the right-of-way. Donna says visibility is poor. She says there are people beyond the fence near Benton Paper, but not near Hasker. She says a dog runs across the track and disappears under a trailer. Then she says nothing for nearly a minute. I ask for status. She says, "We have people behind us on the branch." How many? Hard to count. Not a crowd yet, more than 10. Maybe 20 they entered after we took the switch. The route itself is guiding them. Steel, ballast, clear path, sound. We do not need roads. We have built straight lines through fences, hills, neighborhoods, and rivers. Tonight those lines stop serving us. Kim tells me to get the train to Hasker and unload. I call County Emergency Transport again. The same dispatcher answers. He says he has one school bus moving, no police escort. Driver threatening to turn back if roads get blocked. Another driver refused. A city bus is stuck at the hospital. He says he can send ambulances only for injured. I ask for any maintenance trucks. He says he is not a miracle worker. I do not argue. Everyone is out of miracles. I call Hasker Food Security from the emergency contact list. The first number goes to voicemail. The second rings until I want to put my fist through the console. A man answers on the 8th ring, sleepy or drugged or just confused. His name is Paul. He is the night guard. He says he is in the front office with the lights off because people were in the street earlier. He thought it was a break-in. I tell him a passenger train is coming to the loading track and we need the gate opened on the rail side. He says, "No, I am not opening anything." I tell him there are hundreds of passengers, including injured people, and the rail side has a fenced lot. He says he has no authority. I ask if he can call his supervisor. He says the supervisor did not answer. I can hear television audio in the background. News anchors using careful words. Public safety officials saying to avoid direct contact. Paul breathes into the phone and does not move. I lower my voice. Not soft, clear. "Paul, the train is going to stop outside your rail gate in about 3 minutes. If the passengers force doors on the wrong side, people will be on open track with infected behind the train. If you open the rail gate and the dock door, they can move into a fenced area. You do not have to go outside. Can you open the rail gate from inside?" He says there is a button in the shipping office. Go to the shipping office. I do not want to cross the warehouse. Is anyone inside with you? No. Then move now. Lock doors behind you. Do not turn on outside alarms and call me back from that office phone. He says nothing. Paul, move now. The line rustles. I hear keys. A chair scrapes. He leaves the phone off the hook. I keep it open because if he screams I need to know the gate will not open. 417 approaches Hasker. Donna reports the dock track is clear. I line the handoff as far as the system allows and block the branch behind her. Carla confirms no yard move will enter. Marcy holds freight clear. Signal maintenance calls back about the Canal Bridge circuit, and I tell him to stay home unless ordered because the right-of-way is compromised. He says he is already in the truck. I tell him to pull over and wait. He says he sees people walking along the access road near milepost 7. I tell him to turn around without sounding the horn. He laughs because maintenance trucks do not have train horns. Then he says, "They turned toward my engine when I accelerated." I tell him again to turn around slowly. At 12:06 a.m., 417 stops beside Hasker Foods. The stop is smooth. Donna did that on purpose. No heavy brake scream, no horn, no bell. A quiet stop, if a 6-car train can ever be quiet. Omar reports passengers are standing, shouting, pushing. He says he has people trying to open both sides. I tell him only dockside doors, only when Hasker gate opens, only after he confirms no crowd along the dock. He repeats, but his voice is breaking around the edges. Paul returns on the Hasker phone, out of breath. I am in shipping. I see the train. There are people behind it. Can you open the rail gate? I think so. Do it now. I need to enter the code. Do it. The gate camera shows nothing for a few seconds. Then the chain gate jerks, stops, jerks again, and begins to roll. It opens wide enough for a line of people, then half the width of the driveway. Paul says the motor is sticking. I tell him that is enough. Omar opens the first 2 doors on the dock side. Not all doors. Good. He is thinking, if every door opens, passengers spill in every direction. If 2 doors open, the line is ugly but controllable. The dock is only a few feet below train floor height because Hasker was built for boxcars. Passengers can step down with help. No gap plates, no platform crew. No station lighting except warehouse floods that Paul turns on from inside. The lights make the rain bright and expose the train to anything nearby. But people need to see their feet. Every choice costs something. I have the dock camera now through Hasker's old system. It updates badly, 1 frame every second or 2. People appear in jumps. Omar in a reflective vest at the door. A man with a backpack pulling a child down. A woman in office clothes carrying shoes in one hand. A teenage boy helping an older man. The nurse from car 3, arm wrapped in something white, standing apart near car 2 with her mouth set hard. 2 passengers hold the restroom door from outside until Omar orders them off the train. They refuse at first. Then Dana comes back from the cab through the train and tells them to move. I do not hear her words. I see her on the camera when she reaches the door. Orange vest, cap low, 1 hand on the grab iron, not rushing. Then the infected behind the train reach the last car. They do not run. That matters. They walk with purpose only when the train gives them purpose. Several place hands on the rear car. 1 moves along the side toward the open doors. Another bends near the coupler, then straightens. More enter the camera frame from the branch curve. 20 becomes 30. 30 becomes more. Counting stops being useful, Omar calls. We cannot empty fast enough. I look at the consist 6 cars. If 2 doors stay open, unloading takes too long. If more doors open, crowd control fails. If the infected reach the open doors, the train interior turns into a narrow trap. Open car 4 dock side only, I say. Keep track side doors closed. Move passengers toward warehouse gate, not into parking lot. Omar repeats. Donna opens car 4. The line thickens on the dock. Paul says he can open the warehouse roll-up door. But if people come inside, he has no staff and no police. I tell him to open it halfway and keep office doors locked. He says he has a fire extinguisher. I tell him not to fight anyone unless there is no other choice. Kim asks if we should move the train after partial unload, use it to pull infected forward, then stop again. It is a brutal idea and maybe the right one. If the train moves a few hundred yards down the branch, the infected touching the rear may follow the locomotive and leave the doors. But passengers still on board will be in a train moving deeper into a dead end. Passengers on the dock will be separated from family members still inside. It could save one group and doom another. I call Dana. Can you make a short pull west if needed? She answers, mechanically, yes. Operationally, you will split families and lose Omar's control. I know. Then do not do it unless the doors are being breached. That is why Dana is in the cab and I am at the desk. She reminds me that human movement is not a switch I can line on a screen. At 12:10 a.m., the first infected reaches the open car 6 vestibule, except car 6 has no open door. He presses against the glass and pounds with both hands. Passengers inside push away from that end. The car shifts from the movement. I see it on the camera. Not much enough. The infected outside reacts to that vibration and pounds harder. 2 more move to the same door. Omar says car 6 is still half full. I ask why. He says passengers are refusing to move toward the middle because they see infected outside every window. Some think staying seated is safer. Some are filming. One man is trying to force a trackside door because he says the dock side is blocked. Stop him. I am not near him. Dana says, I am going. I say, Dana, your cab. She says, train is secured. I am going. I do not order her back. That is one of the parts I still examine when I cannot sleep. A dispatcher should not let an engineer leave the control cab in an active emergency unless necessary. It was necessary. I think it was. I hope it was. The Hasker camera stutters. Donna disappears from the dock view. Omar is at car 4. Passengers move faster now because the ones nearest the rear are moving forward under pressure. The nurse stands at the warehouse door and starts sorting people without being asked. Injured on one side, children inside first. People with visible blood away from the crush. Someone yells at her because of her bandaged arm. She shows it openly, says something sharp and keeps working. People listen because she acts with authority and nobody else has any. Paul says the warehouse is filling. He has people in shipping, the break room, the dry storage aisle. He says someone tried to open the street door and he locked it again. He says people are pounding on the front gate from outside too. Not infected maybe, just people wanting in. There is no clean line between rescue and breach anymore. County transport calls. One school bus is 5 minutes out from Hasker. No escort. Driver named Linda. She refuses to pull into the rail lot if there is a crowd at the gate. She will stop on the service road outside the front fence. That means passengers inside the warehouse must exit through the front and cross open pavement. I tell transport no. Hold the bus north of the gate until rail police arrive. Transport says rail police are not coming. I tell him then hold it anyway. He says Linda will not sit there forever. I ask for her direct number. He gives it. I call Linda from the dispatch phone. She answers with engine noise behind her and says, I am not dying for a railroad. No one is asking you to stop north of the Hasker entrance with headlights off if you can do that safely. Keep the door closed. Wait for instructions from the night guard or conductor. I have no police. I know. I have 60 seats. I know. How many people? More than 60. She is quiet for a moment. Then she says, then I take kids first. Yes. Then old folks. Yes. Then injured who are not bit. I do not correct her. She has reached the same rule everyone is reaching. Without a memo. Without a public health briefing. Without a clean test. Bite means separation. Blood means questions. Nobody has time to make it kind. At 12:14 a.m., the trackside door in car 6 opens. I do not see it first. I hear it. Omar screams on the radio. Not a long scream, just one word. No. Then Dana comes on, closer to the radio, and says, trackside door is open on 6. Passengers exiting onto ballast, infected at rear. I need movement now. This is the third decision. If I move the train with passengers exiting, people can fall. If I keep it still, infected reach the open door. If I order only doors closed, the people outside may be left between train and fence. I look at the track layout west of Hasker. The branch continues another mile to the scrap dealer. There is a low-speed curve, then the Benton paper siding, then a locked gate across the service road. No safe platform, no rescue. I call Dana. Can you close the track side door? Trying. Passenger jammed the threshold. He jumped, others followed. I have 6, maybe more on the ground, infected 20 yards from them. Short pull, 20 car lengths west, smooth, no horn. Omar, clear dock doors now. Omar calls, people are still in the doors. Clear them now. I hear him shouting. I hear Dana ordering passengers away from the vestibule. I hear a man begging from somewhere near her radio. Yeah. The board in front of me waits for my command, clean and indifferent. I authorize the short pull. Dana releases the brakes and moves the train west at walking speed. The open track side door slides past the infected. Some infected follow the car. Some turn toward the passengers who jumped. That split saves the dock and costs the people on the ballast. I cannot soften that. I see 2 passengers on the camera run toward the fence. One climbs, one falls, gets up, and reaches the gate near the trailers. Paul sees it and opens the small man gate from inside before I can tell him not to. A third passenger refuses to leave the ballast and stands with his hands up, facing the infected, shouting something the camera cannot carry. Dana keeps the train moving because stopping would bring the rest of them to the open door. Omar gets the dock doors closed for the pull. Passengers inside pound on windows because family members are on the dock. People on the dock pound back. The train moves only a few hundred yards, but on a passenger train that feels permanent to anyone separated by steel and rain, the infected follow the train west. Not all enough. The rear cluster leaves the dockside and follows the vibration down the branch. The ones near the people on the ground stay. Hasker security camera blurs from rain and movement. I see Paul's gate close halfway. I see one of the off-duty security officers drag the man gate shut with another passenger. I see the nurse pull a child away from the fence and push him toward the warehouse door. I do not see the man who stood on the ballast after that. The camera angle cuts him off. Dana stops at Benton Paper, not at the scrap dealer. She chooses the spot without asking because she sees the track. There is a long fence on one side and an empty warehouse wall on the other. Bad for evacuation, good for controlling doors. She reports 4 cars still occupied, maybe 100 passengers. Omar reports car 6 is compromised but empty of passengers he can see. The man locked in the restroom in car 3 is still inside. The nurse bitten by him is in the Hasker warehouse, not on the train. Another passenger with blood on his hands is refusing isolation in car 2. Omar says people are starting to treat anyone with a stain on clothing as infected. The infection is not the only thing spreading. Rules spread, rumors spread, cruelty spreads, but so does order when one person says the same thing enough times. I tell Omar to keep remaining passengers in cars 1 through 4 and lock car 6 out if he can do it without passing through danger. He says he can isolate by closing vestibule doors and using a baggage strap through handles. Not secure, not official, but something. I tell him to do it. We are past official. Kim asks me how many passengers are off. I estimate 150 to 200 at Hasker. Maybe more, maybe less. Cameras are poor and people move in clusters. County Transport says Linda has reached the service road and sees people at the front fence. She will not open her door until someone organizes boarding. I call Paul. He says the warehouse is packed near shipping. He says people are demanding the bus. The nurse has started making lines. The bitten nurse, I remind myself, a woman bitten less than 15 minutes ago is making evacuation lines because nobody else can. Ask her name, Kim says quietly. I ask Paul. He comes back with, her name is Elise Warren. She says tell dispatch to stop sending people through the street door until the bus door is open. She says if I open early, people outside will push in. Elise is right. I tell Linda to pull close to the front gate, nose west, door aligned with the pedestrian exit. Keep engine running only if necessary for movement, no horn, minimal lights. She says she cannot drive with lights off on a wet industrial road. I say use low beams, no flashing hazards if she can avoid it. She says she is a bus driver, not special operations. I apologize. She says, just tell them not to rush me. Paul opens the pedestrian gate when Linda is positioned. Elise sends children first. I watch through the Hasker front camera now. Children with backpacks, children without coats, one baby wrapped in a man's jacket, older passengers leaning on strangers. People argue but do not break the line at first. Linda closes the bus door every time the line surges. She is good. She is angry and scared and good. At 12:23 a.m., rail police finally call with 2 officers 5 miles out. Then the lieutenant interrupts and says those officers are being redirected to Central Terminal because people breached Track 2. Kim slams her hand on the desk, not hard enough to break anything, hard enough that everyone hears. She tells the lieutenant Hasker has a live evacuation. He says Central has thousands. He is not wrong. That is the worst part. We get 1 bus loaded. Linda says she has 72 people on a 60-seat bus and no room for more. She says Elise refuses to board because she has been bitten. Paul says Elise is standing inside the gate with a list of who went where written on cardboard torn from a box. The list matters to her. It matters to families. It matters to the old world that is still trying to function inside a warehouse with infected at the rail fence. I tell Linda to leave. She asks where. Transport gives her a high school shelter north of Pike Ridge. I cut in and say avoid the rail crossings if possible. She asks why. I tell her infected are following rail lines. She says that is the dumbest thing I have heard tonight. Then she says, I believe you, and leaves. Back on the branch, 417 is drawing more infected west. Dana reports people gathering near Benton Paper. The train is no longer rescue. It is noise, vibration, warmth, motion, light, and trapped passengers. If we keep it there, Benton becomes another Hasker without a dock. If we run it west to the scrap dealer, we may pull infected away from Hasker but strand remaining passengers at a dead end. If we reverse back toward Hasker, we bring the following crowd with us. If we leave the branch and re-enter the main, we may drag them into Ridge Throat and beyond. I need another decoy. Carla says the remote switcher at the sand tower is dead or blocked. She will not move another crew. Marcy says there is a maintenance tamper tied down at milepost 15 near the old signal bungalow, but nobody is on it. Signal maintenance says it cannot be operated remotely. Good. I do not need it to move. I need vibration away from people. But I will not ask anyone to start equipment on foot among infected. That crosses a line even tonight. Then Dana gives us an option. There is a refrigerated trailer at Benton with a generator running, she says. Loud, constant. On the warehouse side. I can see people turning toward it when we are stopped. A reefer trailer, diesel generator, mechanical hum. Not rail vibration, but enough sound to compete. I ask Paul if Hasker has similar trailers. He says 2, both off. He will not go outside to start them. I tell him not to. I ask Carla whether Benton Paper has a night contact. She says Benton closed last year, but the property owner rents the lot. No guard. Donna says, if I roll past the trailer slow, some may leave us. I look at the branch map. Benton siding curves behind the warehouse. 417 is on the lead, not the siding. The reefer lot sits 20 yards from the track behind a fence. If the infected are less attached to the train when it moves slowly past the louder generator, maybe some shift. It is a weak plan. Weak plans are all that remain. I authorize Dana to move west another few hundred yards, past the reefer lot, then stop with the train clear of the Benton gate. Omar gets passengers seated on the floor away from windows. He says people do not want to sit because the floor is wet and dirty. He tells them wet and dirty beats visible in the windows. They sit. The train moves, the infected follow. Then, on the Benton camera Carla finds through an old yard link, I see part of the group drift toward the fence by the trailer. Not all, but some. The generator noise holds them there. Heads close to the chain link, hands on the metal. The train stops beyond the lot. Fewer infected stay with the cars. Donna says, that helped. I write in the incident log, infected appear responsive to vibration and engine noise. Avoid unnecessary train movement, avoid horns, use stationary noise only where it does not endanger occupied areas. My hand pauses over the keyboard after I type infected. It is the first time I use the word in an official railroad log. At 12:31 a.m., the man locked in the restroom breaks out. Omar's report comes through broken by shouting. The restroom door in car 3 gives way, or the latch fails. The infected man gets into the aisle. Passengers pile into the next car. One off-duty security officer tries to block him with a trash can. The infected man goes down, then gets up. No pain response, no speech. Omar closes the vestibule door between cars 3 and 4 with the infected man on the car 3 side and 2 passengers still behind him. He says he can see one passenger standing on a seat. The other is on the floor but moving. He is crying when he says it. He keeps talking anyway. I cannot help him with signals. I cannot route a person through a locked vestibule on my screen. I ask if he can open exterior doors in car 3 to let those passengers escape on the fence side. He says the fence side is dark and infected are near the car. I ask if they can climb through the intercar passage. He says no. The infected man is between them and the vestibule. Donna says she is going back. Omar says no. Stay forward. We need someone able to move the train. There is a hard silence. Dana stays. One of the trapped passengers in car 3 gets on the public address system from the car panel. I do not know how. Maybe he grabs the handset. Maybe it is left open during the fight. His voice comes over Omar's radio through the train interior speakers and then back into our room. He says his name is Ben Lasky. He says his wife got off at Hasker with their daughter. He says tell her he is sorry he did not move faster. Then the public address cuts into a squeal and shuts off. Nobody in the dispatch center speaks for several seconds. Then Kim says, keep working. That is not cold. That is mercy for the people still alive. Omar seals cars 1 and 2 from 3. He has about 90 passengers forward now. Maybe fewer. Donna can move from the cab car end if needed because the train is push-pull, but her operating cab is at the east end. I check the consist notes. Locomotive east, cab car west. 417 was running westbound from cab car. Donna is in the west cab, forward end good. She can move west without going through the train. If we reverse east, she would need to change ends or operate from the locomotive with a passage through compromised cars. Not possible. West is the only direction. The branch dead ends at the scrap dealer in less than a mile. Carla says there is a runaround track near the scrap dealer, but it is short and partly out of service, not for a passenger consist. There is also an old quarry lead beyond the scrap gate, disconnected from the main by a derail and used for storage. The map shows rusty lines and warnings. I cannot use it. Donna cannot take passengers onto unknown track in darkness with infected behind. We need to get remaining people off before the dead end. Benton Paper has no dock usable for passengers. It has a low platform at a side door, maybe 3 feet high, fenced lot. The building is empty but locked. No guard, maybe a fire department Knox box, but fire is not coming. The side door could be forced, but I cannot instruct passengers to break into a building over the radio. Then I hear myself think that and understand how useless some rules have become. Kim says, tell them to use the building if it saves them. The assistant superintendent says, We cannot authorize forced entry. Kim turns on him. We are not discussing liability while people are trapped in a train. He does not answer. I call Omar. Benton Paper is ahead on your right. Empty warehouse, fenced lot, low platform, no staff. If Dana can stop with cars 1 and 2 at the side door, can you unload the forward passengers into the lot? Omar says, can we get inside? No confirmed keyholder. Then they are outside. For now. Outside with what behind us? Fewer than at Hasker? Some diverted by the generator, not zero. He laughs once. It is not humor. Not zero. Okay. Dana moves the train to Benton Paper side door. She stops with the cab car past the low platform and car 1 aligned as close as possible. The camera is worse here. Rain, fence, 1 floodlight from the reefer lot, shadows under trailers. Omar opens 1 door only. Passengers lower themselves to the platform, then to the pavement. Someone has a flashlight. Someone else uses a phone light, until Omar tells everyone to cover screens. Light draws attention too. Maybe not much, but tonight we do not waste anything. A maintenance worker from Signal calls again. He ignored my instruction and drove toward milepost 15. His name is Len Harp. I know him because he complains about paperwork in complete sentences. Tonight his voice is thin. He says his truck is stopped on the service road near Benton. The road is blocked by people walking the rail line. He turned off headlights. They still came toward the engine noise. He shut the truck down. Now he is inside with doors locked and his tool bag across his lap. He can see the Benton Paper gate from where he is. He asks if that is our passenger train. I say yes. He says I can open the Knox box if fire key is still in the truck set. Negative, I say immediately. Do not leave your truck. I am 30 yards from the gate. Negative. Stay in the truck. They are unloading into a locked lot. Len, stay in the truck. He goes quiet. Then he says, I have a wife at home who thinks I am still at the bungalow. I will call her if you give me the number. He says, no. I am not saying goodbye. I am opening the gate. This is the 4th decision. Except he makes it before I can stop him. I hear his truck door chime through the phone. I hear rain. I hear his keys. I hear him curse because he drops something. I keep saying his name. He does not answer. On the Benton camera, a small figure in a yellow rain jacket appears near the gate. Len moves fast but not reckless. He stays near the fence, uses the parked trailers for cover. Reaches the firebox by the side door. He fumbles with keys. Infected on the track side begin turning toward him because he is hitting metal. He stops hitting. He waits. He tries again more quietly. The door unlocks. Omar sees it and starts moving passengers through the side door into Benton Paper. Len holds the door with 1 foot braced. A passenger tries to hug him. He shoves the person inside and points. More passengers move. Children, older people, the ones who listened. A man with a rolling suitcase gets stuck on the platform because he will not let go of the suitcase. Omar rips it from his hand and throws it back into the train. The man almost goes after it. A woman slaps him. He goes inside. Len stays too long. I do not need to describe it more than that. He holds the door until the last visible passenger from car 2 gets through. Then he turns toward the truck. The infected are already inside the gate area. He does not reach the truck. Omar pulls the door shut from inside Benton Paper with passengers pressing against him. The camera loses Len behind the trailer line. His phone stays connected for another minute. There is rain sound, then metal tapping, then nothing except the service road. I take his wife's number from the employee file. I do not call, not yet. I keep working. That is another thing I still carry. By 12:46 a.m., the remaining passengers are split across Hasker Foods, Benton Paper, and the forward half of 417. The rear half is compromised. The train itself is now a moving hazard with infected clustered around and inside parts of it. Dana is still in the cab car. Omar is inside Benton Paper with the second group, not on the train. That leaves Dana alone in the operating cab with maybe 20 passengers who refused to leave or could not move quickly enough. Some are in car 1. One passenger is diabetic and cannot walk without help. One is an elderly man in a wheelchair that does not fit the narrow door cleanly without a bridge plate. 2 passengers are looking for family members who got off at Hasker and refuse to leave the train because they think the train can go back. It cannot go back. I say it clearly. Donna asks me what to do with the train. I look at the branch end. The scrap dealer gate is closed. The lead beyond it is rough. There is a gravel service road running parallel for a short distance. Then no easy exit. The train can move west another half-mile and stop at the scrap fence. That will pull some infected away from Benton and Hasker. It may also trap Dana. If she stays, infected keep gathering around Benton. If she shuts down, the loss of vibration may make some drift, but the passengers left on board are still there. And infected already know the train's location. If she moves, she becomes the decoy. I do not want to ask that. Dana understands anyway. I can take it to the end, she says. No, I say. You need the crowd off Benton. I need you alive. You need the crowd off Benton. Kim stands behind my chair. She says quietly, can she cut away the cab car? No. Not safely. Not with passengers. Not under pressure. Not without ground crew and steps that take time outside. We are not doing dangerous equipment procedures by radio during an outbreak. I say no, Donna says. I can leave the train shut down here and get passengers into Benton. Can you move through car 1? I have to. Rear cars are compromised. I am not going rear. I will take the remaining forward passengers through the cab vestibule if Omar can open the side door from Benton. Omar says he can. Benton's side door opens to the low platform. The cab car is a few feet past ideal alignment but close enough for a hard step down. The wheelchair is the problem. Omar says 2 passengers inside Benton can help lift if the person agrees. The person is named Mr. Alvarez. He agrees. He tells Omar he has no plan to die on a commuter car because of a chair. Dana powers down everything she can without losing door control. Fewer lights, less noise, no horn, no bell. The train becomes dark in sections. The infected at the rear keep hitting metal for a while. Then some drift toward the reefer generator again. Some remain at the train because people inside move. The forward passengers exit one by one. The diabetic passenger goes first with 2 people helping. The 2 passengers looking for family members resist until Dana tells them Hasker has a list and staying on the train will not help anyone. She uses the word list, not shelter, not rescue. List in a night where everything is untracked. A list sounds powerful. They go. Mr. Alvarez is last. The wheelchair does not fit cleanly. Omar and 2 passengers lift. Donna holds the cab door and tells them to move slowly. A man outside Benton starts yelling because infected are near the fence. Omar tells him to shut up or help. He helps. Mr. Alvarez gets inside. The chair follows, bent on one wheel but usable. Donna steps down last. For the first time since 11:26 p.m., Train 417 has no living crew or passengers aboard that we know of. It sits on the Marrow Industrial Branch, partly dark, contaminated, with infected in and around the rear cars. The official consist still shows active. The board still calls it occupied track. The system has no button for dead train with unknown infected occupants. I tag it out of service and block the branch. Then the problem gets larger. At 12:58 a.m., reports come from 3 places beyond the river line, North Freight Belt. People walking the tracks toward the intermodal ramp, South Commuter Branch. Trespassers gathering at a quiet zone, crossing after a train uses the bell through the neighborhood, East Terminal Lead. People entering from storm drains and walking along the rail bed towards Central. Different lines, same behavior. The infection is not only in one train, the tracks are giving it direction everywhere. The assistant superintendent says we need to suspend service system-wide. Kim says, if we stop every train where it is, we create fixed targets. Marcy says, if we keep them moving, we spread the targets. There it is, the whole operating plan collapses into 2 bad sentences. We pull every train location, passenger, freight, maintenance. We mark which trains are at platforms, which are between stations, which are near yards, which have crews only, which have passengers. We do not stop everything at once. We move only the trains that can reach controlled areas without passing through reported crowds. We keep some moving just long enough to reach fenced yards or elevated platforms. We hold others in dark sections with instructions to power down, lock doors, and stay quiet. We tell crews to avoid horns unless impact is immediate. We tell crews not to step down for trespassers. That violates instinct. Railroad people get down to help. Tonight getting down creates another casualty. I draft the first emergency operating notice with Kim dictating over my shoulder. It says, due to widespread right-of-way incursions and public safety emergency, all non-essential movement suspended. Do not open passenger doors except at directed controlled locations. Avoid unnecessary horn, bell, and engine revving when safe under operating rules. Reort groups following rail line. striking equipment, or responding to train movement. Do not investigate on foot. The legal department would hate the wording. Legal is not on the floor. At 1:07 a.m., Central Terminal calls for help. A station manager named Ruth says platforms are crowded, police are overwhelmed, and people are entering tracks to escape the concourse. She wants all inbound trains stopped outside the terminal. We have 2 inbound passenger sets east of the city and 1 deadheading equipment move. If we stop them outside the terminal, infected along the line may find them. If we bring them in, the terminal gets worse. I ask Ruth whether track 8 is clear. She says no. Track 9 maybe. I ask whether she can hold doors closed if a train enters. She says passengers on the platform will force them open. I ask whether the station power is stable. She says for now. For now becomes the phrase of the night. Kim takes Central. I stay on River and Marrow because 417's people are still alive in 2 warehouses with no confirmed rescue. Hasker has 1 bus gone, a second not coming. Benton has about 90 people inside an empty warehouse with little water. No heat issue because it is summer, but wet clothes and no medical supplies beyond what passengers carried. Elise at Hasker is bitten and still organizing. Omar at Benton reports Dana is with him, finally off the train. Paul is refusing to let anyone open the street gate without a vehicle ready. Good. He has become useful because the rules are simple now. I ask Omar about infection inside Benton. He says 1 passenger has a bite on the hand and admitted it after others noticed. It happened during the Car 3 fight. The passenger is a college student named Mia. She is 19, traveling home from work. She is conscious, crying, and not violent. The group wants her outside. Omar says no, not into the open lot. Dana found an office with glass walls and a door that locks from the outside with a push-bar latch. Maya agreed to sit inside. Her friend refuses to leave her, but Dana will not allow the friend in the same office. The friend sits outside the glass with his back against the door. Nobody knows the time from bite to change. Nobody knows if every bite turns. Nobody knows anything except fear. And fear wants simple cruelty. Keep watch, I say. Do not hurt her unless she becomes a direct threat. Omar says, you want me to say that out loud? Yes, he does. I hear him through the radio. He tells the room the dispatcher said no one hurts Mia unless she becomes a direct threat. It is a small thing and maybe not enforceable, but it gives decent people a sentence to stand behind. At 1:24 a.m., Mia changes in the Benton office. Omar reports it with a dead voice. She stops answering her friend. She stands, walks into the glass twice, then begins striking the door. No speech, no recognition. Her friend tries to open the office door. Dana tackles him to the floor with help from another passenger. He screams at her, others shout. Maya keeps hitting the door. The glass holds because it is office safety glass, not strong forever. Dana tells Omar to move everyone away from the office wall. He does. I ask how long since bite. Omar says maybe 40 minutes, maybe less. She hid it for part of that. Not a hidden bite cliché from stupidity. A scared kid with a hand in a sleeve, surrounded by strangers who might throw her out in the rain. She did what scared people do. She waited until fear on her skin became fear in everyone else. I add to the log. Observed change after bite, approximate time under 1 hour, not reliable. The public health line is still giving hold messages. At 1:30 a.m., the second bus cancels, not delayed. Cancels Drider attacked at the North Garage, according to County Transport. The bus did not leave. Hasker and Benton are on their own until daylight or until police regain enough control to escort. Daylight is 5 hours away. Police are losing ground. The rail network is shutting itself piece by piece. Elise at Hasker asks to speak to dispatch directly. Paul gives her the phone. Her voice is tired but controlled. She says her bite is getting hot and she has marked the time on her arm with a pen. She says no one at Hasker knows what to do with bitten people. She asks if there is an official instruction. There is not. I could lie. I do not. No official instruction that I trust, I say. Separate from others. Stay visible. Do not allow direct contact with saliva or blood. If you feel confused or aggressive, tell someone before you lose control if you can, she says. That is not enough. I know. She says, I need you to tell Paul I am not going in the freezer. Paul is on another extension. He starts to protest. I cut him off and tell him not to lock any living person in a freezer. Not for quarantine, not for safety, not for any reason unless that person asks and the door can open from inside. He says he was not going to. Elise says he was thinking it. Paul says nothing. Elise says, there is a manager office with a window. I will go there, it locks. If I change, they can leave me. I ask if someone can watch safely. She says the mother with the baby volunteered, and Elise told her no. A warehouse worker who got off the train at Hasker says he will watch from the hall. No one knows his name because he did not want to give it earlier. Now he says his name is Grant. People become more honest near locked doors. I tell her to write her bite time and symptoms if she can. She says she already started. Of course she did, she is a nurse. At 1:42 a.m., I shut down the river line between Central Terminal and Ridge Yard, not suspend, shut down. I place blocking devices on the control system. I set signals to stop where the system permits. I line powered switches away from the main into empty sidings only where no occupied train or rescue group will be endangered. I tag crossings for police notification. I issue radio broadcasts in a loop. No movement without dispatcher authority. Crews stay in secure locations. No one investigates persons on track on foot. Passenger doors remain closed except at directed safe points. Reduce noise when stopped. Reort following behavior. My hand is steady until I finish the last block. Then I notice coffee spilled across my notes because I knocked the cup over and never saw it happen. Kim approves the shutdown and sends it upward. The assistant superintendent says we will need executive authorization for extended service suspension. Kim says he can wake whoever needs waking, but the signals are already red. He does not fight her this time. The screen changes from a working railroad to a blocked one. Green routes vanish, red signals hold. Trank blocks sit occupied where trains are stopped. It feels wrong, railroads exist to move. Stopping them is admitting the system itself has become dangerous. But the system is dangerous now. Not because trains are evil, because trains are honest. They announce direction through steel. They send vibration farther than footsteps. They connect places that should remain separate tonight. The infected do not need maps. We gave them lines. At 1:50 a.m., Dana calls me from Benton Paper on Omar's radio. She says the infected outside are thinning. Some remain around the dead train. Some remain at the generator. Some are walking back along the branch toward Ridge, probably following distant yard noise or other movement. She says she can hear them hitting the train cars in irregular bursts. She asks if we can cut power fully to 417 from her portable panel. I tell her not to return to the train. She says she was not planning to. She just needed to hear me say it. Omar comes on after her. Passengers want to know when rescue comes. I look at the board, the phones, Kim's face, the incident log, the emergency alerts still coming in with careful wording that cannot cover what we are seeing. I do not know, I say. He sighs. I cannot tell them that. Tell them the rail line is shut down and rescue is being routed by road when available. Tell them to stay inside, stay quiet, conserve phone batteries, keep doors blocked, and keep bitten people separated but visible. Visible, he says. Visible, not hidden, not thrown out. He repeats it, then turns from the mic and gives the room the message. I hear people argue. Then I hear Dana, louder than him, saying, "You heard the man. Sit down, save your phone, and stop opening doors." That helps more than any official alert. By 2:20 a.m., the pattern is system-wide. Moving equipment draws infected. Stopped equipment draws infected if it idles, brakes loudly, or contains people making noise. Horns can turn groups from streets toward crossings. Bells do it too. Less strongly but enough. Bridges and tunnels collect them. Because rail sound has nowhere useful to disperse, and because the right-of-way narrows, babaus become traps. Because passengers think platforms mean safety. Freight yards become dangerous because idling locomotives and metal impacts never stop on normal nights. We send a notice to city emergency management. Rail corridors are active migration paths for infected persons. Avoid staging shelters next to tracks. Avoid using rail bridges for pedestrian evacuation. Do not direct crowds down right of way. Set up unnecessary alarms near rail lines where possible. Expect infected movement toward active trains, idling engines, and repeated metal impacts. A city official asks for evidence. Kim says, "Watch any rail camera." At 2:33 a.m., Hasker reports Elise has changed. Grant, the warehouse worker, calls from the hallway phone because Paul refuses to. He says Elise wrote until her handwriting stopped making sense. She told him to shut the office door. Then she stood up and tried the handle for several minutes. She did not scream. She did not plead. She just kept trying the handle. Grant pushed a filing cabinet in front of the office door, even though it opened outward, and the cabinet does not really help. He did it because doing nothing was worse. He asks if he should leave her there. Yes, I say. He says she saved people. I know, she is still in there. I know. He hangs up. I add Elise Warren's name to my personal notebook, not the official log. I add Len Harp. I add Ben Lasky. I do not know why. Maybe because the official log turns people into events. Someone needs the names. At 2:47 a.m., Mia breaks the Benton office glass. Not all the way through, but enough to make the room unusable. Dana and Omar move passengers deeper into the warehouse and barricade the hall with desks and pallets. They do not hurt Mia because they do not have to. They leave her behind the second door line. Her friend keeps asking if she can hear him. Omar finally tells him no, not in the way he means. The friend stops asking. At 3:05 a.m., rain stops. That should help visibility. It does not help enough. Cameras show infected on the right-of-way in groups, not crowds everywhere. But groups in places no people should be at that hour. Some follow the track west from Central. Some gather at crossings where gates had been active. Some stand on bridges. Some drift into yards. The ones away from rail lines move without direction until sound catches them. The ones on rail lines keep going because the rails guide feet and vibration gives them something to follow. I think about the old safety posters in every crew room. Stay off the tracks. Trains can come from either direction. Tonight the warning needs a second half. Stay off the tracks because the tracks can bring what heard the train miles away. The public starts calling the infected different things before dawn. Biters, sick ones, trank walkers, runners. Even though most do not run. The names do not matter. Behavior matters. Bites matter. Saliva and blood matter. Noise matters. Movement matters. Stopping in the wrong place matters. That is the whole working knowledge of the first night. At 3:40 a.m., the State Transportation Office orders all passenger rail suspended until further notice. The order arrives after we have already done it. That is how official response works during fast failure. Field people act, then the order catches up wearing better language. At 4:10 a.m., County Rescue reaches Hasker with 2 sheriff vehicles and 1 utility truck. They take children, injured passengers, and people who can fit without turning the gate into a crush. Benton gets 3 firefighters on foot a little later. They bring water, medical bags, and not enough gloves. Donna and Omar make every passenger show visible wounds before moving. Bitten people stay separated. Nobody likes it. Nobody has a better rule. At 5:06 a.m., the sky starts to lighten over the rail cameras. The river line looks almost normal in daylight if you do not know what to look for. Wet track signals at stop-tap platforms. A passenger train sitting dead on an industrial branch. A yard with engines quiet. A few figures walking between rails, steady and silent in the distance. The phones keep ringing. The board keeps updating. People keep asking when service will resume. I stop saying soon. I say suspended until inspected and cleared by public safety. I say no estimated time. I say avoid rail corridors. I say trains are not shelter. I say do not walk the tracks. I say it so many times my voice turns flat. At 5:42 a.m., Dana calls from a firefighter's phone. Her radio battery is dying. She says she is leaving Benton on foot with the second rescue group. Omar is with her. Mr. Alvarez is in a utility truck. The diabetic passenger got glucose from a firefighter and is conscious. The warehouse is not empty, but the most vulnerable people are out. She says 417 is still making small sounds because something in the rear cars keeps shifting. Infected remain around it. Firefighters will not approach. Good, nobody should. She asks if I am still at the desk. I say yes. She says, "You got us somewhere." I do not answer right away. The correct answer is that not everyone got there. The other correct answer is that some did. Both are true, and neither one cleans the screen. I say, "You kept them alive long enough for the route to matter." She says, "Shut the rest of it down, Jack." I am trying. No. Shut it down before someone higher up tries to run a rescue train. That is when I understand the next danger. Someone will suggest it. It sounds heroic. Lumb a train with responders, supplies, medical staff. Run it down the line. Gather survivors. But the infected do not see rescue. They feel vibration. A rescue train would announce itself to every infected near the corridor. It would carry the problem from stop to stop. It would become another 417. only with more official confidence and more people waiting at platforms. I go to Kim. She is on the phone with the State Operations Center. I write one sentence on a yellow pad and put it in front of her. Do not authorize rescue trains into contaminated corridors. She reads it, she adds 2 words or evacuations, then she says it into the phone. She says rail movement in contaminated corridors creates migration behavior and mass gathering around equipment. She says rescue by train is not recommended without armed public safety clearance, secured platforms, quiet approach protocols, and confirmed isolation at destination. The person on the other end argues. Kim listens, then says, "You can replace me later." Right now the answer is no. At 6:15 a.m., I complete the hard shutdown of the Western River Line. Not just signals, trank warrants voided, yard permissions frozen, switches lined and blocked, crossings placed under road authority where possible. Maintenance crews recalled. Crews instructed to shelter in designated buildings, not locomotives, unless no building is reachable. All active engines shut down unless needed for heat, air, or immediate safety. Horn use limited to imminent collision. Public message: tracks unsafe, do not approach. Do not shelter in stations without official direction. The board is red and gray now. It looks dead. It is not dead. It is contained barely by people who know which switch feeds which branch and which old warehouse has a dock and which yard camera still works in rain. That knowledge saved some people. It also showed us how easily the system could kill them. At 6:40 a.m., I open the incident log for 417 and write the final operational entry before relief arrives. Train 417 diverted from passenger main to Marrow Industrial Branch due to platform obstruction, right-of-way incursions, and infected persons following active rail movement. Partial evacuation completed at Hasker Foods and Benton Paper. Train secured out of service on branch. Multiple casualties unknown. Survivors transferred by road in stages. Further rail movement suspended. Infected persons appear to use rail corridors in response to vibration, engine noise, braking, and metal impact. Moving trains may function as migration beacons. I stop at that last word, Bayakon. It is too clean, but it is accurate enough. I leave it. Relief comes in at 7:08 a.m. 2 day shift dispatchers, 1 operations manager, 1 state police liaison, and 1 public health officer step onto the floor. Aaron, the day dispatcher, looks at the red and gray board and asks what he is looking at. I say, a railroad we cannot run. I give him the line segment by segment. Central blocked, Westlake unusable, Ridge Yard quiet but contaminated. Marrow Branch blocked with 417, Hasker and Benton partially evacuated. Riverbend freight surrounded but crew alive in cab at last contact. Canal Tunnel occupied by infected. No horns unless immediate danger. No rescue trains. No walking inspections. No station stops without public safety control. He writes fast, then stops writing and looks at me. Are you saying they follow the tracks? No, I say. I am saying the tracks help them follow us. He nods once. He understands the difference. I leave the desk at 7:20 a.m. The dispatch center windows face the employee parking lot, not the railroad. That always bothered me. Tonight I am grateful. I do not want to see rails when I step outside. I wash my hands in the restroom even though I have not touched anything dirtier than a keyboard. I scrub under my nails until the paper towel comes away gray from old ink and cheap soap. Then I stand there with the water running and listen to the building's ventilation. The phones beyond the door, the low voices of people inheriting the board. My phone has messages from my sister, my neighbor, my ex-wife, and a number I do not know. I answer none of them yet. I look at the employee bulletin board by the exit. Safety reminders, illness notice, roared close calls. Stay alert around moving equipment. A faded poster says every track has 2 directions. I take it down. Not because it is wrong, because it is incomplete now. Outside, morning is wet and dull. The access road runs parallel to a maintenance spur for 200 yards before it reaches the main street. A chain fence separates the lot from the track. On the far side, 2 rails head west toward Ridge, clean and empty. No train, no crew, no smoke, no horn. Just rail, ballast, weeds, and a red signal in the distance. Then I see 1 infected person near the fence. He is not at the gate. He is on the track side, walking between the rails with 1 hand low near the crosties. His shirt is torn at the shoulder. His face is turned slightly downward. He does not look at the building. He does not look at me. He keeps walking west. Following the line because the line is there. A mile away, something heavy starts in Ridge Yard. Not a locomotive moving, I hope. Maybe a generator, maybe a truck, maybe a door. The sound is low enough that I feel it through the soles of my shoes before I understand I feel it. The infected man stops. He turns toward the vibration. I go back inside and tell Kim to call Ridge again. I do not clock out. Not yet.